Welcome to the Skoll World Forum on Social Entrepreneurship and a section we're doing on Facebook live from Oxford, England. And I'll be delighted to be welcoming two women with fascinating stories to tell and also to hear from you, our Facebook Live audience. So first of all, let me have the honour of introducing Dr. Joanne Peter. You're a Director of Social Innovation at the Johnson & Johnson's Global Community Impact Team. A big word, and we'll unpick that a bit later. Right. And you focus on using technology to support and champion health workers and manage a lot of different mobile messaging programs from Mitra in India to Mom Connect in South Africa. And together, they have reached over 6 million low-income mums with vital health information. And in your prior life, you worked at Google.org in California, managing over $19 million of grants in health and education. And before that, a doctor, where you were medically trained as a doctor and worked in Cape Town, or just trained. You worked too, okay. What kind of doctor?
Well, just a general practitioner at that point, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. My second guest, Luiza Serpa from Brazil. You are the director and the co-founder of the Instituto Phi, which is an NGO in Sao Paulo, which is thinking about and innovating a new model of philanthropy to connect NGOs and non-profits with finance. And so far, you have invested in over 200 social projects. And you've also got a prior life. Hey, who hasn't? You were in corporate life, marketing for big companies, and also a journalist, which is pretty cool. And I'm interested in connectivity because it seems to unite both of you. And we're even going to set ourselves a challenge. Now, I know both of you don't qualify or think of yourselves as painters. No. We are, though. I've just got some of these watercolours, and we are going in a minute or two to try and paint the connectivity which connects you and your work with the entrepreneurs and the investors, and you in terms of connecting the healthcare information with the clients and each other. So we're going to haven't practiced, we'll just see what happens. But before we do that, let's just hear a bit more from you, Joanne, about the mobile messaging, both in India and in South Africa.
Yeah, sure. So 5 billion cell phones on the planet now.
5 billion cell phones?
Indeed. And so I think we just recognize that there is this moment of opportunity where Johnson & Johnson is about profoundly changing the trajectory of health for humanity. That's our purpose statement.
But your purpose is also about making money from healthcare products. You are
I think that's part of profoundly changing the trajectory of health for humanity, but there are other dimensions to that as well. And one of those is really starting with the client and their own knowledge about their health and how active they can be in that. And one of those is about the health workforce, particularly the nurses, midwives, community health workers that support the client. But there are not enough health workers, and clients don't necessarily have all the information that they need to make the right choices for themselves, for their families, but they all have a phone. So starting way back in 2010, we actually started working on this concept with a number of partners, trying to use the phone in the palm of the mom's hand as a way for her to receive important information on her pregnancy, how to take care of herself and her child, and then increasingly as a way for her also to communicate back to the health system, what's working, what isn't, what are ongoing questions. So establishing this two-way communication between the mother and the health system, empowering her to make the right choices and also giving her a voice to actually influence the delivery of services. And at the same time, taking some of that burden off of the health worker.
So you're mostly dealing with healthy mums going through the normal course of pregnancy and early childhood with their kids.
Yeah, correct. So the great thing about maternal and child health, the pregnancy, right, is it's pretty biological. So actually across the world, the process is quite similar. As long as you know when a mom is going to deliver, you know a lot about what she's experiencing at a point in time. So you can make it a very personalized journey for her, but it's personalized at scale. And
how do you deal with the challenge? Because even though, being pregnant and giving birth is a very healthy process in most cases, it's also quite a complicated process. And the information that you can have, especially in areas where people have to pay for data on their mobile smartphones, how do you balance those two needs?
So the first thing to note with these programs is these are not smartphone programs. They actually, back in 2010 when we started this, most of the moms did not have access to smartphones. So they used things like SMS, they used things like voice messaging, because in some places you have literacy issues, to make sure that really universally accessible Now the world is changing because around 50% or more of the moms starting to have smartphones. So something like WhatsApp is really opening up as an opportunity, as a way to reach moms. It's kind of a complicated process for moms. They need to have some personalization, and so the opportunities are opening up now to start to really personalize the content for moms.
So give me an example. If I was pregnant, which I haven't been for a very long time, but if I was pregnant and I didn't have access to other information, I might live in a rural area in Transkei in South Africa, for example. What sort of information? Here's my phone, smartphone, or a feature phone. What kind of information? Can you be specific? Give me an example. What would I be seeing on my screen?
Yeah, so something very mother-centric. So it might say, you're starting to feel fetal movements.
Because you know when I conceive.
Exactly. We know around 20 weeks you're going to start feeling fetal movements. Start to take note of your child's routines in the day. They're going to wake up at a certain time. They're going to go to sleep at a certain time, and you can start to observe those. Maybe they'll jump when you get into the bath and there's a change in temperature. So you're not scaring the mom. You're not saying, you need a fetal movement calculator, count the kicks, in a way that's very scary. You're saying, get in touch with your body, get in touch with your baby. Very, very centered around the mom, but yet actually giving her something very practical to do.
It's possible to make questions in the app?
Well, yes. So these days, what's amazing is that there are increasingly two ways. So you can ask a question back. There's a help desk, but I'm specifically talking about Mom Connect in South Africa. There's a help desk with some trained health workers. And what's very cool about it is, so there are about 1 million mothers on the service.
Wow.
So it's a huge number, and there are 4 health workers that are manning that help desk. But we're using all sorts of natural language processing and artificial intelligence in order to actually automatically figure out, is this a question, is this a complaint, surface the right answers to make it easier for those help desk staff to respond. So a great blend between kind of a very accessible solution for moms and yet some very high-tech stuff happening in the background.
Fantastic, thank you. Luiza, let me turn to you and find out more about your connectivity and how does Instituto Phi work?
We work in São Paulo and Rio. We're born in Rio. And it's a non-profit organization, and we connect and we make match with donors and social projects and try to understand what the cause of the donor. And after that, we show the projects. It's not the other fundraising, like I'm fundraising for a non-profit organization. I try to understand what's the cause of the donor.
Okay, so what they really care about.
They really care. And after that, we give money for this project. And after that, we monitor all the donation and try to be more trust in this relationship.
So it's really about the relationship rather than about a particular project. And you trust that the NGO or non-profit that you find has got the same purpose, which is at the heart of the donor.
Perfect. Exactly.
And what kind of issues, what kind of questions are people most interested now? What do donors want to donate for in São Paulo?
In Brazil in general, education. Health and education, because we have a huge inequality in Brazil. So we try to narrow the social gap. So education and health, it's an emergency in Brazil.
And do you find sometimes that the NGOs that come to you are coming up with ideas which aren't particularly attractive to donors, and you have to help donors go on a journey in order to change their minds and open up possibilities, accelerate possibilities?
Not yet. I think we are very young in this issue in Brazil. We don't have a culture of donation. So
getting people to donate at all is the challenge at the moment.
Yeah, it's the first step because we are in a difficult moment, political moment in Brazil. So trust, it's our challenge.
Yeah.
What do you mean,
who are most
trust?
of your donors? Sorry to interrupt you. Who are most of your donors?
Individuals.
Oh, okay.
And high potential individuals and companies.
Yeah.
And what's their motivation?
I think to be part of something and try to understand how to fix everything in the world, because we have a different worlds in the same city. It's very close. The poor and rich, they live together.
But they don't connect.
Not connected.
Like South Africa too,
Yeah.
where I'm from.
Yeah.
Should we have a go doing a picture here? Let's just say, what colour would you like? I think might go for blue.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
So we're going to be drawing connectivity between donors and NGOs and between healthcare information and mums.
Okay.
So ready, steady, go. Let's see what happens. We'll do it for about a minute or so.
Together.
Yeah, we'll just go for it. People can interpret as they choose. I'm so pleased that I've got these watercolours. So explain to me what's going on with your picture here.
Money and heart.
Uh-huh.
And I think what happened is in this relationship is the connecting of eyes. When I trust in something or my propose, it's the same of the other. We connect.
And what's going on in your picture?
Well, so far I've got a bit of a Wi-Fi thing going on here.
Okay.
This was supposed to be a pregnant belly. Not sure if that's
I've got
translating.
another baby. Oh, I see. I've got another pregnancy over here that I'm a slightly over-pregnant lady.
And we had a bit of a stylized cell phone.
Oh, that's a cell phone. Okay, let's
Nice, add to that. I like it.
Yeah. Okay.
And for me, the
Let's do
smartphone is a good way to connect to.
I was going to say we need some connection happening here.
Yeah. Between trust, because in a way, the trust question of eyes is a really good. I'm going to accentuate that because you also need your mums to trust this information.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the same.
100%.
And how do you create that trust? There we go. I'm using eyes as a trust thing.
Yeah.
How do you get mums to trust this information which appears on a phone?
It's about the emotional connection. So it's about, as I mentioned, speaking to the mom as a human being, not giving her information that scares her, giving her something that surprises and delights
But
her.
how does she know? Because of course, there's in the era of fake news. There's fake news not just about politics. There's fake news about health information.
Yeah, no, it's true. So we found it's really important for the mom to be introduced to the service through a human being. So through a health worker at the facility, through a community health worker, and then we've actually asked. It was really interesting. We asked one of the health workers who mans the help desk, who do the moms think that the messages are coming from? And they think they're coming from one of the nurses that they met at the clinic, or they think it's coming from the person that first registered them to the service. That's the voice they're hearing in their head. So that first human introduction is critical, and the kind of interplay between the face-to-face interaction and then this ongoing virtual conversation that's
And
happening.
their healthcare workers, are they aware of this information so that they can work in a symbiotic way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So they are the ones who are first registering mums to the service, and then oftentimes they're the ones who will be fielding questions face to face. And we certainly hope that the help desk is taking a lot of the burden of counselling and support off of the health workers so that their face-to-face consultations can actually be that much richer and more meaningful because moms are coming in with
Are
a
you
lot more
evaluating
information.
that?
Indeed we are, yeah.
And any results as yet?
Well, so where we have some pretty good data is that in fact the programs are actually increasing the mom's knowledge and changing their behaviour. The whole perspective of the health worker and how it is actually making their lives better is kind of a new era of research. Yeah.
And I guess you're also looking for behaviour change because you want to change the behaviour of people who previously haven't funded or haven't given.
Yeah, for me, I tell true stories about the projects, and I think that's the way we connect for the investors and the reality.
Yeah. Head and heart, right?
Yeah.
The data on what's working, but the heart.
Yeah, the
And
heart,
do you take them on?
but I have data.
You have
because,
data.
Yeah, because you have a lot of things to tell about the situation.
And do you measure the effectiveness and the impact of the projects that you connect?
For all investors, it's very customizing.
Yeah.
And we try to understand if you give money for this, what happened after. All the projects we measure.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the challenge that most people who want to fund something very specific? They don't really want to fund the core cost of a business or operation, which needs to be funded. They want to do the fancy stuff, which looks good, which they feel, I've helped this child go to school in a way they wouldn't have normally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big challenge. But we trust if you have a good team in a project, you can have a good results. So you can't pay about food or clothes, but to have a good team to know what's happened with your money.
But I think it is a mindset change
Yeah.
to think about the social entrepreneur and think about in the VC world, you're investing in that
Yeah.
entrepreneur. And it's the same.
You need to invest in social entrepreneur because he can get this gap.
And all of the people who you're investing, are they all non-profits?
Non-profits.
And is the world of profit for purpose becoming bigger in Brazil?
Yeah, very big.
Yeah.
We have 6,000 organizations,
Okay.
social organizations, and now we have a social business too. So we have a lot of things to do in this way.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I'm so grateful for both of you coming together and finding connections and for having a bit of fun with a bit of a painting. So thank you so very much, Joanne Peter and Luiza Serpa. Coming up in 15 minutes, we are going to be taking a critical and challenging look at the world of philanthropy. Look forward to seeing you then. Brilliant.